rock that beat.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another new video on the channel. Today we're once again talking about Spider-Man PS4, but in terms of its new DLC, which just came out yesterday at the time of me recording this video. I was debating whether or not I really wanted to talk about the City That Never Sleeps DLC, considering that they're all going to be put in parts over the course of the next 3 months. This month, next month, and then the month after that, which is October, November, and December, which is all 3 parts of the City That Never Sleeps. But part 1 just came out yesterday at the time that you're watching this, which hopefully will be on Wednesday. I'm still wondering what time that's going to be up on Wednesday, but you're going to be watching this on Wednesday. And just a few hours ago, actually, I had just played through and finished the entirety of the story, and even almost got all the trophies that are available for the DLC. And I really enjoyed it. I actually streamed it on Twitch, and the link to my Twitch will be down in the description if you're ever curious, if you want to go watch my streams whenever I do stream. I'll actually be doing another stream when Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out, so be sure to follow my Twitch channel so that you don't miss that stream whatsoever. But I did play through the DLC on my Twitch channel. You know, I streamed for a total of like almost 2 hours. The story mode is about 2 hours, but adding in all activities, it's about like 2.5 hours, maybe, depending on what speed you're going at whenever you're doing any activities whatsoever. When I was doing the stream, I mainly just wanted to finish the story mode and kind of do all the other side activities like off stream in my own time, and it wasn't that long. It's pretty similar to how it is in the base game, but the story for the game is actually something that it leaves you wanting more, because it is part 1 of part 3 of the City That Never Sleeps. So the end of the DLC actually ends off with a cliffhanger. But for what there is for part 1, it actually gives us a lot about Black Cat, aka Felicia Hardy, and a lot of the other side activities have to do with more backstory in terms of Black Cat and her life, mainly due to one of the side activities being that you have to find old pieces of art that belong to the original Black Cat, which is Felicia Hardy's father, Walter Hardy. And you find out more backstory, you know, about her dad, and, you know, how she, you know, grew into taking, you know, the costume of Black Cat and made it into her own. And it turns out the detective guy that you're getting these art pieces for is actually her father, who actually faked his death, apparently. But the story has you playing as, obviously, Spider-Man, and the Magia or the Magia gang, however you want to pronounce their gang name. The Magia gang is currently going after art pieces. That's what it seems like at the beginning of the story. They're going after art pieces for some reason, and you as Spider-Man are wondering what they're going after them for. Turns out they're actually going after hard drives that consist of something involving money. I forget what they said specifically, but it involves like investments, or like just something involving money with the various other gang families all over all of New York. One of them being obviously the Magia gang. So Black Cat's main objective is going after all 5 of these hard drives, but she first says that she's only really doing this for the Magia gang, and specifically Hammerhead, because they have her son and she's trying to save him. And the entire time, you as the player and as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, you're wondering if this is connecting to him being the possible father. But spoiler alert, the whole like kidnapped son thing, I'm sorry, I don't know where that fucking came out of nowhere. I am kind of pissed off that just happened in the middle of recording, but the whole thing where her son exists and has been kidnapped, that's actually, you know, false information. Her son doesn't exist. She doesn't have a son, and she's basically just trying to go after these hard drives, these flash drives, more specific, because she's just trying to, you know, do a big heist. You know, that's the reason why it's called the Heist, because she's trying to get as much money from all the other families of, you know, gang families as much as possible. And the DLC actually ends with bombs going off in her penthouse that she has in New York City, and she appears to have died. But I can already tell you now that she's most likely probably okay because of some dialogue that does happen before she actually gets blown up at her penthouse. But she's probably okay. It's not really that big of a deal. But the story gets you really invested, and I really, really, really liked the character interaction between Spider-Man and Black Cat, whilst also the character interactions of Peter Parker and Felicia Hardy. I love the character moments that they have with each other, especially with Mary Jane, because Mary Jane is also in this DLC, and some of the interaction that Peter Parker has with her, involving like the whole like sun thing, like we were talking about, kind of inflicts with her as well, because presumably this takes place after. I'm assuming it is. It takes place after the end of the game, but I think I've heard somewhere else before that it actually takes part after the events of all the story, like collectible, like all the Black Cat missions that you basically did in the game. And I'm not sure if that is. I could be presumably wrong. They could be presumably wrong. I don't know if my information is correct or not. But of course, this is just me doing a review, you know, basically moments after I've completed the DLC. So overall, with the story and the character interactions and the voice acting, especially the voice acting has always been really, really good in this game with the base game. But I feel like the interactions or the voice acting from Black Cat's voice actor or voice actress was very well done. You know, she's actually done other roles in previous games that I've played before in the past, like Persona 5, and she did amazing in Persona 5. She voice acts Futaba Sakura, and I really enjoyed her role in that game. And then she did Black Cat, and I thought it was awesome. And she really cares about the character. If you've seen like various videos, specifically kind of like interview kind of like things, she cares about the character of Black Cat, and she did a fantastic role. I thought she did amazing. Same thing with Laura Bailey as Mary Jane, as she always does, and Yuri Lowenthal doesn't surprise me with how well he does. He's always been one of my favorite voice actors, especially recently, because now he's, it seems like he's getting bigger roles, like he kind of deserves, in my opinion. But overall, there's a whole bunch of different activities that you can do, specifically with the Maggia gang. Attacking the city, and you just do the crimes and stop them. There's only a certain amount of districts with the Maggia gang that you can attack them in, but other than that, that's fine. Of course, there's like the artwork stuff that you have to do with the original Black Cat, which it's not much, and it's not really like it's okay. It's basically just kind of like the backpack collectibles, except you just learn more backstory about Felicia Hardy and Black Cat, and that's kind of it. And that's like the only really good part I see about it. And then there's also more Screwball stuff. Screwball was in the original game, but she didn't really do all too much. She had like a side mission dedicated to her, but she didn't really do anything, and it wasn't really all that fun to begin with. Her side mission was kind of bland and boring. But in this DLC, she actually is given more of a role because she is released out of prison, and she's basically giving you challenge missions, kind of like Taskmaster. And I actually really like Taskmaster's inclusion into the base game, and I feel like having Screwball basically doing the same thing like Taskmaster in the DLC was actually a good inclusion, even though her missions were a little bit difficult here and there, specifically the ones with the EMPs, because sometimes you get the EMPs wrong, like in the wrong order, even though I know I got them in the right fucking order, but that's whatever. But that's kind of it. There's a couple of new like specific like things that you do with the Maggia gang in terms of like just open world crimes. Like there's one where you control a spider bot, and some moments in the story are actually a lot difficult because like in the beginning where you're trying to save the painting, that's like not really all like that expensive. That if you take it and you sell it to an investor or whatever, it's not really that expensive. But there's a lot of guys that come in there, and there's like brutes. It's a tight enclosure because you're indoors. There's guys with rocket launchers, and then later on in the game, towards the ending of the DLC, you actually go against the same Maggia gang or like Hammerhead's goons, and they have like Sable International or whatever they're called. Sable weapons. They basically had Sable weapons, and they're really strong. And if you're playing on ultimate difficulty, which I was playing on ultimate difficulty, playing this on stream, it was kind of difficult because sometimes I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna fight these guys like casual, like whatever, right? And then sometimes when I wouldn't pay attention, I would either almost die or I would actually die a few times. I actually did die a few times, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit. But other than that, the DLC is pretty good. I mainly was enjoying it with the story. Some of the side activities are actually kind of fun, specifically with Screwball. And there are also a couple other interesting character moments, specifically with Miles, because he starts, talking to Peter Parker, and he's asking him basically to train him to potentially, use his spider powers to protect New York City, like how Peter did when he was 15 years old, as the original Spider-Man. So who knows what Insomniac has in store for the next two parts? I'm wondering what they're gonna do with Miles, because it seems like they want to do some cool stuff with Miles, which hopefully gets set up for a future sequel, which probably will happen regardless. But yeah, that's kind of it. I've kind of been rambling on for a little bit, and I kind of apologize for this video being a little longer than it needed to be. I actually wanted this to be a little shorter than normal, but what can you do? Anyways, the DLC is pretty good. If I had to rate it from 1 to 10, I would give it a solid 8. I would give it a solid 8 because there were certain moments where I was like, yeah, this DLC is like really good. And then it's like some of the side activities, they're kind of like your normal and like Marvel Spider-Man like side activities, which is neither a good or bad thing. It's more of what you got from the base game, but in some people's opinion, it could be, kind of a downside to it, and like you're kind of wanting more new side activities, which is all a matter of a personal opinion. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and if you are new, subscribe for more content just like this, and for other future anime content, just like on the channel, because it's on the name of my channel. I'm sorry, but yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.